Hey and welcome to the Daily Arsenal News Show. Let's begin with our daily news. Brighton are now trying to sign £17 million Arsenal player before deadline day. Brighton Hove Albion are interested in signing Arsenal player Albert Sambi Lokonga after failing to progress with deals elsewhere. That's according to journalist Alex Crook, who shared the update on X. Crook said that Brighton have switched their attention to Arsenal's Lokonga after a deal has stalled for Carlos Baleba. Crook also shared that a move for Lokonga would initially be on loan. Crook said, "Talksport understands Brighton have switched their focus to Arsenal midfielder Albert Sambi Lokonga as talks with Lille over Baleba stall despite looking close on Monday night. Lokonga would be a loan initially. This should certainly be good news for Arsenal, who want to offload the player this summer, and whilst a loan might not be the preferred option for Arsenal, a spell in Brighton is unlikely to decrease his value, judging by recent examples. Both Brighton and manager Roberto De Zerbi have deservedly earned reputations for being expert at developing players, and at 23 years old, Lokonga seemingly still has a lot of potential. If Arsenal do agree to a loan deal, then they will certainly hope for more success than Lokonga's time at Crystal Palace. Despite Patrick Vieira being crucial to the deal, Lokonga was then given very limited game time at the South London club. Fast forward to now, £17 million Lokonga hasn't featured in either of Arsenal's league squads so far this season. It's clear that a move would now suit all parties, and this Brighton interest may be the perfect solution. Lokonga still has an Arsenal contract until the summer of 2026, which would protect the club's position should he do very well on loan. You would expect that Lokonga would be very keen to join such an exciting side in Brighton. He was previously strongly linked with a loan move to Vincent Kompany's Burnley, a move that seems to have lost momentum. Aston Villa have now opened talks with Arsenal about extraordinary 23-year-old. Aston Villa have opened talks with Arsenal over a potential move for Nuno Tavares, with a number of sides keen on signing the left-back in the final days of the summer transfer window. That's according to a report from 90 Minutes, which notes that Unai Emery's side have made contact with the Gunners over the Portuguese. Nuno Tavares will surely be one player to leave Arsenal before the deadline. The 23-year-old spent last season on loan at Marseille, and he does not appear in Mikel Arteta's plans following his return, but he may get the chance to stay in the Premier League. 90 Minutes reports that Nottingham Forest held a lot of talks about a potential deal for Tavares. Meanwhile, Werder Bremen and Wolfsburg are also in the running. However, Aston Villa have now reached out to Arsenal about a potential deal for the fullback, and talks are now underway. The Villains' bid to sign Marcos Acuna has stalled, and with that, Tavares appears to be on Emery's wish list. If Emery is particularly keen on Tavares, it will surely be a move which suits all parties. It already appears that Arsenal have no plans for the youngster and would be content with bringing some money for him, or at least moving his wages off the books with another loan move. Manchester City are continuing to monitor special Arsenal player, says a journalist. Journalist Ben Jacobs has suggested that Manchester City continue to monitor Bukayo Saka despite the forward signing a new contract at Arsenal earlier this year. Jacobs was speaking on the debrief while discussing all of the contracts the Gunners have agreed over the last few months as Mikel Arteta continues to build such an impressive group. Of course, the announcement which delighted Arsenal fans more than any other was surely the news that Bukayo Saka had signed a new long-term contract. As reported by The Athletic, the 21-year-old is now set to remain at the Emirates until 2027. It was no surprise that the clubs were monitoring Saka. He is establishing himself as one of the best wingers in the world, and he is only likely to get better from here. Gary Neville labelled Saka special on Monday. Interestingly, Jacobs suggested, however, that Manchester City's interest in the attacker has not gone anywhere as they make plans for the future. He said, with Saka, he was always untouchable in the short term, although there was some interest from Manchester City. There still is, which is normal because you are tracking players with a few to 3 to 5 windows ahead, but Arsenal were never going to sell Saka. It should not come as a shock that Manchester City remain admirers of Saka, but it does act as a reminder that Arsenal need to keep moving forward from here. They have had a taste of a title challenge under Mikel Arteta. Now it's imperative that they are competing for silverware every year and making a mark on Europe also. As things stand, it's hard to imagine Manchester City going anywhere anytime soon, so they are always going to be in the hunt for those gems. The good news for the Gunners is that they are most definitely looking set to enjoy another outstanding year with a squad that is only going to get better. Kevin Campbell genuinely thinks Arsenal have a 24-year-old who is going to be a star. Kai Havertz's first 2 games at Arsenal haven't exactly been befitting of a £65 million signing. The German joined the Gunners for massive money this summer, but so far he has not really made that much of an impact. Sadly, it's been more of the same from what we saw from Havertz during his time at Chelsea. A few glimpses of quality, but a whole lot of uninspired play. However, speaking on the Highbury Squad YouTube channel, Kevin Campbell has backed Havertz to become a star with Arsenal, claiming that he genuinely believes that the 24-year-old can be one of the Gunners' most important players. Campbell shared his verdict on the former Chelsea man. He said, Havertz can manipulate the ball, he can handle the ball, he can play between the lines nicely, he had a decent game without being spectacular. It will take him time, it will take this Arsenal squad time to understand how to get the best out of each other. Let's be honest, they have only played 2 games together. But I really believe Kai Havertz will be a star for Arsenal moving forwards. Havertz hasn't shown his abilities in the Premier League over the past few years, but it has to be said that he has bags of potential just waiting to be unlocked. Let's not forget, this young man is still only 24 years old, and at one point, he was one of the most decisive players in the Bundesliga, netting 17 goals for Bayer Leverkusen one season as a teenager. If Havertz can get back to his best, he will be a massive player for Arsenal. Whether or not he is able to do that is another question entirely, but Campbell clearly has faith in the German. Talksport Pundit can't believe what Mikel Arteta did to £45 million Arsenal player versus Crystal Palace. Donnie Murphy has questioned Mikel Arteta's decision to use Thomas Partey as a right back against Crystal Palace last night. The pundit was covering the Monday night clash at Selhurst Park on talkSPORT and felt Arsenal lacked width due to Arteta's approach to the game. Despite a commanding display, Murphy was unimpressed with Arteta's decision to play Partey at right back last night. Partey operated at right back last week and against Nottingham Forest as he took up the inverted fullback role to give Arsenal the extra man in midfield, but Murphy questioned whether Arsenal needed Partey in that role last night as he felt they lacked width against Palace. He said, "See, I'm not sure of the benefit of having Thomas Partey in there, to be honest," Murphy said. Commentator Sam Matterface then asked, "Can you understand why he is trying to do it, and is it just not working, or do you not understand what he is doing?" Murphy responded, "I don't really understand why they are doing it in this particular game, because they should be dominating possession, and on top of them, you want width. You need to stretch Roy's teams, Palace's teams, they generally have numbers in the middle. You need to get out wide, create some 2-on-1s. Ben White isn't going to get out here as much, coming from a centre-back position." Arteta's approach seemed to work well up until the red card as Arsenal completely dominated the game. While Ben White has proven to be an effective player at right back, Arteta is clearly keen on using the Englishman at centre back for the time being. That could change once Zinchenko comes back into the side after his return from injury, but Partey has performed well in his new role so far, and Arteta will undoubtedly be satisfied with the £45 million man's recent displays. Talksport pounded claims £16 million Arsenal player just wasn't comfortable versus Palace last night. Donnie Murphy has claimed that Arsenal defender Takahiro Tomiyasu didn't look comfortable in Monday night's match against Crystal Palace. Talking on Talksport, Murphy said that Jordan Ayew beat Tomiyasu several times and that the fullback was a concern. Tomiyasu was, of course, sent off for 2 yellow cards, a seemingly harsh decision, but Murphy feels Tomiyasu just isn't comfortable playing in a new position at left back. Murphy said, "Well, it was a breakaway from Arsenal, and looking from where we are, I thought Martinelli was going to show Anderson a clean pair of heels, but Anderson was quicker than I thought. Just before that, down the other end, Ayew beating Tomiyasu again, it's a concern. Not sure he is comfortable in that left back position, Tomiyasu. Twice he is flown past him, there Ayew." And whilst Tomiyasu is a very versatile defender, there is credit to Murphy's thoughts. Judging by Arsenal's preseason, you would have thought that Tomiyasu is either third, fourth, or even fifth choice in the position. Of course, Kieran Tierney wasn't involved last night amid reports that he could leave the club, but you would definitely imagine that a fully fit Zinchenko and Jurriën Timber would be first and second. £16 million Tomiyasu was something of a concern against Palace, and it's probably a hint that there is still work to be done for Arsenal in this window. Jamie Carragher says one Arsenal player really needs to work on his shooting. Sky Sports pundit Jamie Carragher has admitted that Declan Rice still needs to work on his shooting. Before last night's match between Arsenal and the Crystal Palace, Carragher was assessing the 24-year-old skill set. It's hard to argue that there are many weak spots in Declan Rice's game. The £105 million midfielder was brought in by Mikel Arteta to upgrade his options in the middle of the pitch. Although the price tag is excessive, he is already starting to prove that he was worth it. Carragher was blown away by Rice's performance last night, but has questioned his shooting ability. Rice has never been the most prolific in front of goal, although his ball striking technique is impressive. The midfielder almost cursed by being able to play several roles across the pitch so well that he is not always needed in attack. Arsenal fans will be taking to the 24-year-old already as his 3 competitive appearances for the club have been brilliant so far. Even when the Gunners were down to 10 men yesterday, he was still giving Arsenal a level of control. Speaking about Arsenal's number 41, Carragher said, "I think the one big criticism that everyone will have of Declan Rice, which I think has been a little bit unfair in his career up until now, would be how many goals he scored. When you talk about a player costing £105 million, you are thinking that I want everything. When we are talking about getting into positions to score, that his finishing has to massively improve. So yes, it's been a legitimate criticism before, but now he is playing for a better team. I think his numbers have to go higher. Arsenal boss Mikel Arteta won't mind if Rice isn't shooting as much as Carragher would like if he puts in performances like last night. He is still new to the system that Arteta is implementing, and despite being a phenomenal player, will still be getting used to his new teammates. Rice has stepped into the role that was previously occupied by Granit Xhaka, who had the best scoring season of his career last year. It feels like it's only a matter of time until he gets his first Arsenal goal. Fabrizio Romano says Arsenal were given the chance to sign fantastic defender last week. The Gunners are now in need of a new defender, and as you can imagine, agents have been working overtime to try and get their clients to the Emirates. According to Fabrizio Romano, speaking on the debrief, Arsenal have been offered a number of players over the past week, and one of those has been Ivan Fresneda. The fantastic Spanish fullback has been linked to Arsenal for a little while, and now he's been offered to the Gunners once again. However, according to Romano, this isn't an imminent transfer, as Sporting are the favourites to sign the defender. Romano shared what he knows about Arsenal and the Spaniard. He said, "They are discussing this internally. They had different opportunities. When people saw the situation of Tamber, they started to offer players to Arsenal. It's not decided yet. We know that Tamber was covering two positions, so they have to decide what type of player will be the right one. I don't see them spending crazy money. Some players offered were Ivan Fresneda. Again, he was in the list of the club in January, but now Sporting are the favourite, so it's not that concrete with Arsenal. This actually wouldn't be a bad option for Arsenal at all. At the age of just 18, Fresneda is one for the future, so this signing would have long-term value, and his ability to play at right back would allow Ben White to act as that extra centre-half cover. After Saliba's injury last season, Arsenal can't let a lack of defensive depth define their season again, so they do need to make a signing in this area. Keep an eye on the situation, as while Fresneda isn't likely to come in, a new defender is needed. I will be uploading daily Arsenal news, so keep your eyes on the channel and don't forget to like and subscribe. I appreciate your support. Peace out.